love to see you fix up the most are A, Erika Jayne, and B, Andy.
Well, Andy, yes, I would do that in a minute. He has to want it though. He doesn't like fix-ups. We were talking about that because my business partner, I merged my company and I have like, I'm all over the world, but my business partner is in New York who handles a lot of it, Bonnie. We tried to do it when we saw it, Watch What Happens. And I said, look, you change your mind, you know where I am. He's got an open invitation. Erika, I don't like what she did to the victims, and I don't believe that she didn't know what was going on. So I don't know. I have to think about that one. That's not an easy one. I mean, she looks amazing. Don't get me wrong, and she's got her little show, but I don't know. I don't know if we'd get along.
Really?
And I have to get along with the person I fix up. I can't just, I'm not doing it just like, I don't do it for TV purposes. I do it because I like the person. If I'm going to do pro bono work on a celebrity, I have to really like them to do it.
Like when you fix up me, not that I'm a celebrity, but
no, you know what I meant. Like if Soprano Singh called me, of course I'm going to love her, you know, but like somebody who did something horrible, like, you know, Kevin Spacey, what do you do with that? Right? He says he didn't do anything. He got off on one and now he's fighting the other ones. Like Weinstein, definitely no. Definitely no. That's it.
Well, I mean, Weinstein, Erika
I'm just talking about like sexual offenders. I don't do people that want weird stuff like kinky shit or threesomes or quads or open relationships, or I don't do poly. I would do trans if I could find the people for the trans people. Like that's my one thing I'd like to do. But I mostly stop at gay and fluid. Yeah.
But Erika might be a no for you.
I don't know. I don't know if we'd get along. It's a get along, and then I want to hear her story about what really happened. And there's the story for the news, and then there's the real story.
And why wouldn't you do trans?
I don't like that the people didn't get their money. I don't think it's, you know, the victims of those horrible incidents. No, it's wrong. I'm a very fair person. You know, I've got a Sagittarius moon for anybody who's an astrologer. You know, I'm all about fairness and I tell the truth no matter how painful it is. So that would bother me. I don't like helping criminals.
Well, I mean, that's understandable.
No, a lot of people didn't care. A lot of people take their money in a dating service and they'd help anyone. I'm not that person. You know, like right now, you know, the people who are anti-Semitic or homophobic. No, definitely not.
And why not trans?
I don't know how to do it. It's not like they go to this opposite sex of the one they become. They go to the same sex sometimes that they become. And so it's very all in the mind. And then I don't know who would date them, because that's my biggest problem. We put that in our application though, just in case we do find somebody like that. You know,
well, I think a lot of people would be open.
I don't know those people. I'm not in that world, in that particular LGBTQI world. You know, I'm only in the up to the fluid part. So it would be something I'd have to work on. Maybe next season I could do it. We'll see. I don't know if the world's ready for that also. I mean, I love Jazzy. I love watching her show. And I had a trans person on my show, a $1 million matchmaker, who went to my high school. And when she was 16, she had bottom surgery and her parents said it was okay. And now she's making a movie on her life because she became queen of the prom at my high school in New Jersey. So it's kind of a story. And I met her and I redid her. And then Dan, one of the guys from The Bachelor, picked her on one of the mini dates. But, you know, you have to declare to the person they're trans. You can't just fix them up just because they look like, you know, Julia from Euphoria, who, you know, looks amazing. Or Angel from Pose. You gotta say they are. And that's what I don't know who would do it. I have to find that community. It's not an easy community to find. It's very sheltered. It's like my lesbian community, really hard. That's a hard one. It took us years to get Chef K on that show. Years. Lesbians did not show up at the gate. They were always hooked up.
They were always hooked up. Do you think, so like, even like something like having kids, like, do you think you should, like, what do you reveal on a first date? Like, do you let it all out there?
Like, I think it's important on the first phone call. And I know a lot of kids are getting fixed up without the call, but a woman has to hear the man's voice to feel safe and secure and get excited. We fall in love through our ears, not our eyes. So you would have to say, hey, what are you looking for? And he's like, well, you know, I want to get married, or I want to have kids, or I want to settle down. But if he's like, oh no, I'm just casual dude, you know, I surf on the weekends, I like my life the way it is. No, that's why you have to do that first phone call and screen them right. And say, hey, what are you looking for? And let the man take the stage. Don't interrupt him. Don't tell him what you want. He will reveal who he is. If he's like, well, I'm on the site because I really want to find a serious girlfriend that, you know, that we can end up together. That means that I want to get married. Then you have to say, well, do you want kids? Of course I want kids. Then he wants kids. And then if you want to know when he wants it, you can say, well, what age do you see yourself being married at? And then you can go 2 years in the future, and that's usually when they want a child.
Do you think it's easier for famous people to date other famous people, or is it too like Ben and Jen? Maybe it's too much. Maybe she.
Um, there's plenty of relationships where it works, you know, plenty, Gwen Stefani, you know, and Blake Shelton. I mean, there's plenty of relationships where it works. It's easier because they understand you. It's also great if like you're Travis and you're in football and Taylor's in music, and then we're not in the same field to compete with each other, but we're both in the public eye. And I understand what it feels like when you're on stage and when you're winning the Super Bowl trophy. Like, I understand that, you know what I mean? Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, especially if you're competing for the mirror. But there are plenty of relationships, Tom Hanks, Rita Wilson. I mean, we can go back in time and there's millions of relationships where they worked and they met on a movie. Where else are they going to meet? Right?
Yes. Well, but then you look at someone like a Sofia Vergara, like she seems like madly in love with this guy.
Well, I mean, first of all, I
He's
don't know.
successful.
And he's very successful. He's a very, Gigi went to him. He's a very famous doctor, has a big company because he invented some kind of, you know, gadget that helps. And then she said, I dated too young because Joe always wanted kids. So if that's the case, she tried it. It didn't work. She already had a child. She wasn't going to, you know, freeze her eggs like she did last time, which was a whole disaster, and have a kid down the road in surrogacy. She didn't want a child, which I love the fact that she came out like the day after the announcement and told the world this is the reason it was happening. I mean, I thought that was pretty extraordinary of her. You know, most people don't do that. And she said, I married too young, and he wants a family. And I told you that would be the deal breaker if you didn't discuss it up front. But when she was with him at that time, she wanted kids too. But then she turned a certain age and it was like the clock wasn't turning back. You know, the whole problem with the age difference is like you're not at the same pace together. You can go 10 up and 10 down, but that's it. You go to the 15s and the 20s and the 30s, you're like in a whole different universe.
Well, there are these rumors now. I don't know if they're true. Did you see this? That like Demi Moore and Joe Jonas,
She always loves young, never gets it. She loves being in the public eye. Joe is kind of an old soul. You know, he's not your typical, he's got 2 kids. He's got a great family from Jersey, kind of an old soul. He was not like Nick. He's a little bit wiser, I think. And a Scorpio and a Leo, what are you going to do with that? You know?
I don't know. I just have fantasies of this.
It's very what?
I know that.
It's magnetic. So we'll see how long this lasts. I mean,
I mean,
she looks stunning.
stunning.
And Brad dressing her at con, he knocked it out of the park. And, you know, he's a great stylist. He did a great job. I was really impressed with